Here we go.
We begin with the play of the year, made by the player of the year so far in this NFL season. We begin with a quarterback I have never liked until now. How could I like Josh Allen when he gave the ball to the other team more than anybody else in the National Football League? Going into this season, Josh Allen, since he came into the NFL, had turned the ball over more than any other player in football. He was Santa Josh, giving more gifts than anybody else in the NFL. Just last season, think about this. Josh Allen turned it over a career high 22 times, and I'm supposed to like that? Turnover machine, can't be trusted. Through 11 games so far this season, Josh Allen has given the ball away only 7 times. That's 5 interceptions, plus only 2 lost fumbles, only 2. So 22 giveaways in 17 games last season, only 7 in 11 games this season. For opponents, Josh Allen has turned into the Grinch who stole Christmas. He now takes away the ball way more than he gives the ball. He takes whatever he can get, touchdowns, field goals. He takes and takes and takes and does not give anywhere near the way he used to. People, something shockingly amazing is going on here. Josh Allen has cleaned up his act before your very eyes. Josh Allen has, dare I say, grown up, matured, turned into a real live quarterback, a franchise quarterback you can trust. And not shockingly, his Buffalo Bills are now 9-2 with a shot at winning home field advantage all the way to the Super Bowl. I'll get to that in just a moment. And by the way, before I continue, here's the weird twist about Josh Allen's name. He hasn't turned into your basic one name, first name superstar or star. He is not just Josh, the way Dak is just Dak or Micah is just Micah. Nor is Josh Allen your basic one name, last name superstar. He's not just Allen, the way Mahomes is pretty much just Mahomes. No, Josh Allen is a two-name superstar. He isn't just Josh. He isn't just Allen. He is only Josh Allen. Got to say both names. Every time you refer to him, he requires first and last. So every time I mention Josh Allen from here on, it will be as Josh Allen. It's almost like 2 names have morphed into one. So remember when everybody said Josh Allen will struggle, will get exposed? After the Bills shockingly said enough of Stephon Diggs and traded Stephon Diggs to Houston. No more number 1 receiver, no more security blanket, no more media being able to overprotect and overhype Josh Allen. So guess what happened yesterday with Patrick Mahomes coming to town? Josh Allen lost Dalton Kincaid and Keon Coleman. Kincaid, who I badly wanted to be a Dallas Cowboy in the draft, was leading the Bills in targets. And rookie Keon Coleman, top of the second-round pick, had been thrown the team's 3rd most passes by Josh Allen, who had to suddenly match aerial magic with Patrick Mahomes without Kincaid, without Keon Coleman, or for that matter, without Stephon Diggs. Yet, guess what happened, ladies and gentlemen? Josh Allen completely outplayed Patrick Mahomes with a QBR of 84. That scale 0 to 100. To Mahomes, 63. 84 to 63 in QBR. Josh Allen went 27 of 40 for 262 yards. To Mahomes, 23 of 33 for a mere 196. Kansas City's defense is better. It's actually much better than Buffalo's. So Josh Allen's degree of difficulty yesterday was considerably higher than Mahomes was. Yet at 6'5" tall by 240 pounds, Josh Allen also led the Bills in rushing with 12 carries for 55 yards. That's thanks in large part to his final 26-yard run. Jim Nantz immediately on CBS christened that the NFL Play of the Year, while quickly acknowledging that miracle, that Hail miracle that Jaden Daniels made to beat the Bears a couple of weeks back. But hey, I'm with Jim Nantz on this. Given the magnitude of Kansas City at Buffalo, given that Josh Allen's Play of the Year halted an undefeated season and had major impact on potential AFC playoff seeding, Josh Allen's play was it. So think about this. Looking at 4th and 2 at the Chiefs' 26 with 2:17 left, Bills up 23-21. So the play not to lose decision for Sean McDermott was taking the field goal that would have forced Mahomes to go the distance for a touchdown to win the game. But no, Sean McDermott, he knows what he has now. He knows he has a Josh Allen who has grown up right before everybody's very eyes. He knows he's got a maturing playmaker in now his 7th NFL season who no longer plays out of control hero ball. And this is the crucial part. Sean McDermott knows that Josh Allen no longer feels like he has to force the ball to Stephon Diggs to keep him happy. Trading Stephon Diggs was actually addition by subtraction for Josh Allen because it cleared his mind of Stephon Diggs. Now Josh Allen is in complete charge of this team and of his emotions. So what did Josh Allen do? He took the snap on 4th and 2, expecting Chiefs to play man-to-man. But they surprised him, Steve Spagnuolo, by going zone. So did he panic and fling up some prayer to a covered receiver that got picked and flipped the momentum? Nope. Josh Allen faked left quickly. He moved to his right slowly. He saw a little daylight, and he bolted. The man can move for such a big man. And he hit a seam, and he passed the first down line. Could have slid, could have played it safe, but nope, he just kept on keeping on. He powered right through 2 Chiefs near the goal line for a 30-21 touchdown. 30 points. Okay, I will give you this. Once Josh Allen broke free through the Chiefs secondary, he was holding the ball way out away from his body like it was his phone, and he was filming himself running for the clinching touchdown. A little dangerous, a lot careless, but Josh Allen is playing with such supreme confidence that it was almost like he was just signaling the world, I got this. I got this football. I got this game by the throat. Do you realize the Chiefs hadn't allowed 28 or more points in their last 30 games? Think about that. And Josh Allen scored 30 without 2 of his top 3 receivers. That's why I now have Josh Allen easing ahead of Lamar Jackson for MVP. Still a long way to go, but while Lamar stunk at Pittsburgh, so did the Ravens, just flat out stunk. I'll get to that in a moment. Josh Allen outplayed and outclutched Mahomes and ended Kansas City's unbeaten dream. I mean, think about this. The Chiefs were leading the NFL in time of possession, and Josh Allen went 9 of 15 on 3rd down and beat Mahomes in time of possession, beat him in the game of keep away, 34 minutes to 26 minutes. What a tour de force for Josh Allen against that defense. Now for the cherry on top. The other aspect of his game that Josh Allen now completely owns are his post-game interviews. So commanding, so genuinely humble, so much wisdom and perspective. It's his team, his time, his turn, and he shows you that as he did on the field for CBS at the end of the game. So the Chiefs now have it pretty easy, then pretty hard to finish. The Chiefs now have at Carolina, Raiders at home, Chargers at home, at Cleveland, then Houston at home. So they could fairly easily win their next 5. But they finish at Pittsburgh, then at Denver. What if the Chiefs lose their last 2? For that matter, they could lose to Jim Harbaugh's Chargers. I will get to them in just a moment. Meanwhile, up next for Buffalo are 49ers at home. Okay. They lost again, 5-5 49ers. Then Buffalo goes to the Rams, very dangerous. Then at Detroit, which right now looks like a sure loss. But the Bills end with New England at home. Jets at home, and then at New England. Those are 3 wins. So do I give Josh Allen's team a very good shot of tying the Chiefs at, let's say, 14-3 and winning the AFC's number 1 seed because the Bills beat the Chiefs? You better believe I do. The Bills have a grown-up at quarterback. They have Josh Allen at the controls. P.S. I'm going to say this again. I'm not going to dwell on it, but Patrick Mahomes is so overhyped and overrated. He has now thrown 11 interceptions, including the one that ended yesterday's game. Those 11 are tied for worst in the National Football League. Whew. Okay. Time out for a second. I got to do a quick sip. Breakfast of Champions. The Nectar of the Gods Diet Mountain Dew. Not sponsored. Okay, I have a big, bold prediction for tonight's Cowboy game. You ready for this? They will not get embarrassed. That's all I got. That's all I want tonight. Just hang in for, 3.5 quarters. Just be competitive. Just lose 28-21, and I'll be a very happy camper. I remind you, and I am shocked this doesn't get more media attention. I remind you that in the Dallas Cowboys' last 5 home games, they have lost by an average score of 40-18. That is right, 40-18. I'm not exaggerating, not embellishing. The Cowboys I have loved and lived for since I was 10 years old have averaged allowing 40 points a game for the last 5 home games. That's worse than the 1960 expansion Dallas Cowboys quarterback by 5'7" Eddie LeBaron. Do you realize that no team in NFL history has ever trailed by 20 or more points in 5 straight home games? The Cowboys are the first to ever do that. The Cowboys, these Cowboys right here, right now. So to me, it's almost the ultimate definition of delusional Cowboy fan, that it seems to me like most Cowboy fans are ignoring or maybe just refusing to acknowledge that this just keeps happening in the last 5 home games, as if it isn't a horrifying, rotten to the core trend, as if, hey, one of these Sundays or Monday nights, it'll all just go away and we'll be great again. You'll see. Delusional Cowboy fans. I like to call myself an objective Cowboy fan, a realist. Lately, I've been battered into being a pessimist. These last 5 home games have just been gut-wrenching for me to watch, excruciating for me to watch, nauseating, stomach-turning and burning. I don't drink, but after all 5 of these games, I wanted to get drunk on Pepto-Bismol. So I still say Cooper Rush is more trustable than Dak Prescott. Cooper Rush did throw what shoulda, woulda been the 10-7, up 10-7 touchdown pass just before half last week against the Eagles. And as you know by now, CeeDee Lamb lost it in the sun because Jerry Jones won't put up curtains for late day November home games. Jerry even screwed that up. And I will give you and Cooper Rush this. The Eagles I watched last Thursday night against Jaden Daniels in Washington have the NFL's best defense, the best defense. So think about this for Cooper Rush. After not starting a game for 2.5 years, Cooper Rush got thrown into the Eagles' fire in his first start this year. The Texans' defense is not quite the Eagles' defense, even though the Texans' defense statistically does rank third in the NFL, and it did intercept Jared Goff 5 times in its last game. But I just believe that Cooper Rush will play well tonight. I thought he'd play pretty well against the Eagles, but he has always played very well on Sunday or Monday night. Just look it up. I believe he will manage to control the football, somewhat the clock, keep the Cowboys defense out of harm's way and off the field more than Dak has. I just want you to think about this, Cowboy fans. At home, your team is a 7-point underdog tonight to a Houston team that has now lost 3 of its last 4 games to fall to 6-4. The Texans have been down their 2 top receivers, including the aforementioned Stephon Diggs. It sounds like Nico Collins will return tonight, so that's advantage C.J. Stroud, but he did regress in that second half collapse against Detroit last week. So I'm here to say the Texans will not embarrass and humiliate and annihilate us the way the Packers and the Saints and the Ravens and the Lions and the Eagles have. Will not, cannot, not. The Texans will not blow us out in the third quarter the way the last 5 home opponents have. That's right. No exaggeration, no embellishment. In this year's home games, our Cowboys have lost the third quarter 82-22. 82-22. How can Jerry Jones sit still up there in his box for what's happening down below? How does he just sit still? How does he stomach it? This is vintage. Please drop the Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy is the worst cliche mumbling motivator in coaching history. His halftime pep talks put this team to sleep in third quarters. It might as well play third quarters in recliners. It reclines in third quarters. This is why I pounded the table for Jerry Jones to fire McCarthy after that Green Bay playoff disaster and go hire Jim Harbaugh before somebody else did. Of course, Harbaugh would have gone Parcells on Jerry. Jim Harbaugh would have demanded total control. He would have insisted Jerry Jones keep his upturned nose out of the football operation, and Jerry probably would have balked. But giving in to Jim Harbaugh would have been worth every ounce of swallowed pride for Jerry Jones. Jim Harbaugh has won everywhere he's been, including those 3 straight NFC championship games with the 49ers. And that one Super Bowl he lost on a horrible non-call pass interference. At the end of the game, he lost that, of course, to his brother John and the Ravens. Jerry Jones has not been back to a championship game in going on 30 years. But, Jerry loves working with good old Mike McCarthy, who's attached to the best puppet strings Jerry Jones has ever yanked. I predicted before the season Jim Harbaugh would walk right in the door out here in L.A. with the Chargers, walk right in from Michigan in that national championship, and that Jim Harbaugh would make the playoffs his first year with the Chargers because he would change the culture. He would rebuild the confidence of a quarterback I still don't love, Justin Herbert, but last night, the Chargers collapsed at the hands of Joe Burrow, who, by the way, I'm going to say it again. I keep saying it. He leads the NFL in QBR. He leads in all the passing stats because Joe Burrow is still the best quarterback in all of football, and he's starting to separate. What he did last night with Jamar Chase was just extraordinary. They're down 27-6, and all of a sudden I look up and it's 27-27. So Jim Harbaugh's Chargers, Justin Herbert and company completely collapsed. So they won the game dominantly, then they collapsed and lost the game, and then they jumped back up off the mat and brushed themselves off and won the game. Look at the Chargers now. They're 7-3. Jim Harbaugh, Coach of the Year. Look at my Cowboys now. They're 3-6, Jerry. But tonight, we will be respectable. That's all I got. We will look like we at least belong on the same field with the Houston Texans. You can carve this in stone. We will not get embarrassed this time. And by the way, if we do get embarrassed again, I will turn into stone as if I just gazed upon Sodom or Gomorrah. Another quick sip of Nectar of the Gods, Diet Mountain Dew. Okay, I realize this is an extremely unpopular opinion to admit publicly, but sue me, but I really like and respect Jake Paul, have from the start. Yet it became very clear to me that, I don't know, 90% of the world wanted to see Mike Tyson shut Jake Paul's mouth by knocking his head off. I believe a whole lot of white people wanted to see Jake Paul get his from a 58-year-old Mike Tyson who surely they thought could reach deep down for that natural-born killer still deep down inside Mike Tyson and catch old Jake the Snake with one blast from the past that would de-beard him live on Netflix. But Jake Paul knew that was not going to happen. Jake Paul sometimes acts like a goofy kid, but he's very smart, very clever, very creative. He's sneaky athletic. He is fearless. He is tough. He has surrounded himself with equally smart people in business and in boxing. And he has made a whole lot of money because so many people don't buy him and don't like him and view him as a villain or as a heel, as in wrestling heel, as he called himself before the Tyson fight. So the billion-dollar irony here is, trust me on this, Jake Paul is actually a very nice guy, a good guy, dare I say, a likable guy. There's not an ounce of 20-something Tyson deep down inside Jake Paul. There's no crazed, natural-born killer in Jake Paul, which ultimately could limit just how far he'll be able to go in boxing. I predicted Jake would withstand any early onslaught from Mike, but that Mike would not be in the shape required to go more than, 2 all-out 2-minute rounds, and that Jake would toy with him the last 6 rounds, but honor Mike Tyson by taking it easy on Mike Tyson. He would pay respect to Mike Tyson's legacy by refusing to go in for the kill and knock him out. There is no cold-blooded killer in Jake Paul. He could have embarrassed the man who really hasn't been Iron Mike since he was 21 years of age. Could have even hurt 58-year-old Mike, but that's not what Jake Paul is made of. That's not the kind of content he wants to create. There's more Disney in Jake Paul than you first think. So now Jake Paul has brilliantly choreographed his next move because he's always 2 moves ahead of all of his customers. Conor McGregor, like Tyson, an internationally controversial lightning rod. Here comes Jake Paul versus Conor McGregor, who to me is washed up at age 36. Or as LeBron likes to say, he's just washed. Conor McGregor did box, as you well remember, Floyd Mayweather Jr. That was more than 7 years ago, 7 years and 3 months ago. He did have Floyd in trouble in the corner in the 9th round of that bout until the ref saved Floyd, who did finally put away Conor in the 10th round. That's a long time ago. Conor that night earned, I don't know, I've read so many different reports. He earned set for life money, 30, 40, 50 million. And Conor McGregor lost his stomach for getting smashed in the face in the octagon. But hey, boxing a YouTuber for another $50 million? Bring it on, says Conor, who I believe will get pounded even worse than he did against Floyd. Way worse. And by the way, Conor did put up, then delete, a very disgusting tweet that I will not repeat as he attempts to early hype a fight in his whatever $50 million payday, because that is what he's made of versus what Jake Paul is made of. Conor McGregor is truly a bad boy. Jake Paul is a problem child with quotes around it. But Jake Paul has turned himself into, I'll just go this far, a decent fighter, a savvy, cagey ring strategist who can punch a little, and he can definitely take a punch. Jake is just way too big for Conor McGregor. Jake weighed almost 230 pounds for Tyson. He went up a bit in beef. Conor at best can go, 170? Conor is, 5 feet 9 inches tall? Jake is 6'1". What am I missing here? Now, Conor can punch too, or strike, as they say in UFC, but I'm talking about he can little man punch. He will get overwhelmed by Jake's height and weight and reach and strength and skill and stamina. Jake Paul works hard. Jake is extremely dedicated to this craft. And Jake, by the way, is getting extremely battle-tested under the biggest, brightest lights. Brighter they are, better he is. He is clutch. You got to give him that. So will you buy Conor McGregor versus Jake Paul? Okay, it doesn't have the magic formula of black versus white that McGregor, Mayweather, and Paul Tyson did. But here you'd have dueling bad boys, villain versus villain, even though one is way more of a villain than the other. And again, I ask, what else is there in boxing to get excited about and look forward to right now? If this were the era of Ali and Frazier and Foreman, or of Leonard and Hagler and Hearns, I lived through them. I was there. I covered them. Most fans would be laughing at this YouTuber. But now this YouTuber has everybody's attention because so little else does. Admit it. You enjoyed yourself Friday night, even though you were ultimately deflated by the quote-unquote fight. You enjoyed the buildup. You enjoyed the day-long anticipation. That's what it's all about. Little Mike Tyson shut him up. It was a spectacle. It felt epic until it didn't. As I concluded in my live stream right after Paul Tyson, Jake Paul's end game is Canelo Alvarez. That's what he told me the first time I talked to him, maybe, I'm losing track, 4 years ago. Now, I doubt Jake will ever be able to toe-to-toe box with Canelo, but again, remember, Canelo is only 5 feet 7 inches tall, 170 pounds. Jake Paul is 6'1" and weighed almost 230 for Tyson, though he could easily drop 15 or 20 pounds and maintain his strength and certainly stamina. So I'm guessing Jake will probably let the current 34-year-old Canelo become the 36-year-old, maybe 36 or 37-year-old Canelo, and then try to catch Canelo on the way down. Jake Paul wins most of his fights before he ever sets foot in the ring. He wins by selecting the perfect opponent at the perfect time. He wins by matchmaking more than actually fighting. I'm sorry, but I'm in awe of what Jake Paul has achieved coming from nowhere. I find Jake Paul impossible to hate. Then again, I didn't want to see Tyson shut him up because I knew Tyson couldn't. So Saturday, after Colorado had hung 49 on the Big 12's best defense, LeBron James jumped on the bandwagon with this tweet, and I quote, "I don't hear none of those Deion haters being upfront and loud. They're in hiding now. Coach Prime said, we coming. Well, it's we here now. Love what's going on there in Boulder." So finally, LeBron James and I have something in common, except that I've been driving Deion's Boulder bandwagon since the moment he took the job. I said Deion Sanders can flat out coach. A lot of people laughed. Is his team ever well coached right now? I knew Deion could motivate. Mike McCarthy is the polar opposite of Deion as a motivator, a cold fish. Deion is simply the most consistently charismatic man I have ever known. And I've been around Deion quite a bit since his days playing for the Dallas Cowboys and taking them over the top to a Super Bowl championship, because that's what Deion does. Deion's team, if you're watching, just keeps and keeps getting better and better and better. It did have one bad early game at Nebraska, inexplicably to me bad. Since then, it has turned into, and I am not exaggerating, a national title contender. Before the season, I predicted Colorado would at least reach the Big 12 championship game, and I had friends texting me, laughing at me. Hand to God, laughing at me. Now I have Colorado winning the Big 12 championship game and making the playoffs, as Deion predicted before the season that his Buffaloes would do. I'm predicting that because every time Colorado plays from here on, Colorado will have the two best players on the field. Travis Hunter, obviously, is now the Heisman frontrunner, and I am all for that. I've already predicted he'll become, in the NFL, the greatest two-way player in NFL history. Will play some receiver because he's just too good playing receiver to not play receiver. But here's what I do not understand as we speak. And I don't want to start any kind of trouble here or dilute or undercut Travis Hunter's chances of winning the Heisman by splitting the vote. That's not what I'm trying to do here. But if Shedeur Sanders, who will be the first pick in the draft, as I predicted before the season, if he continues to play at the extremely high level he's been playing at for the last 5 or 6 games, and if Colorado wins at Kansas, won't be easy, and then does beat Oklahoma State and does win the Big 12 championship game, how can Shedeur Sanders not rise into at least the top 2 or maybe 3 in the Heisman race? Shedeur is now 8th in the Heisman odds. 8th. He has 27 touchdown passes to 7 interceptions. Not quite Cam Ward's 32-6. But only in the last couple of games is Colorado's offensive line giving Shedeur even reasonable protection. For the first 7 or 8 games, Shedeur was running for his life just the way he had to all of last season. Trust me on this. Shedeur's degree of difficulty has been much higher than Cam Ward's. Seriously, if Colorado makes the playoffs, and Shedeur continues to rack up stats the way I think he will, I would not hate Travis and Shedeur sharing the Heisman. I realize that will never, ever happen, but no two players in college football history would better deserve and be happier sharing the Heisman Trophy than Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders. Am I right, LeBron, or am I right? Okay, speaking of LeBron, I'm sorry, but I just can't help saying this right here, right now. I've held out as long as I could, but I'm just not seeing LeBron James Jr. as an NBA player, now or maybe ever. I sincerely hope I am so wrong about this, because LeBron and his wife did such a great job of raising this young man, and I have rooted for him from the start. I kept arguing on television that playing alongside his father would bring out the best of him. I made the case that he was born to play alongside his father because he's a completely unselfish 3-and-D complementary player is Bronny, just what LeBron needs in his backcourt with the Lakers. But the truth is, I saw only one great flash from Bronny. That was in the fourth quarter of the McDonald's All-Star game, when he made a couple of clutch threes. And since then, I have seen little to nothing from Bronny. So, I submit to you, is it possible Bronny still hasn't regained his confidence in his body after the heart issue he suffered before his one season at USC? It's possible. If so, maybe we'll have to give him a couple of G League seasons to trust his body, to sort of grow back into his body, to find himself. There have been so many games now that I've watched him in Summer League, NBA games, G League games. I've seen 2. So many games in which Bronny appeared content to just stand and watch. Rarely initiates, rarely attacks. From what I've seen, and I've watched closely, I don't really see him play that hard on defense. So maybe he still just doesn't trust his stamina. I don't know. But for now, here's the biggest problem. Bronny James just can't shoot. And this is not a small sample size. I mean, he shot 27% from 3 at USC, and I wrote it off as just that lost year because of his health scare. But now look at what has happened. If we add up all of his professional stats since he got drafted, from Summer League, NBA games, 2 G League games, including last night's, which I watched, Bronny, as a pro, since he was drafted, is 19 of 65 from the floor. That's 29%. And from 3, which I thought would be his bread and butter shot, he's 3 for 29. Think about that. 3 for 29 as a pro. That's 10% as a pro. And that obviously just won't hack it. Bronny was 3 for 19 from 3 in the Summer League. He's 0 from 4. Excuse me, I'll get it right. 0 of 4 as a Laker. And he's now 0 of 6 as a South Bay Laker. I mean, this is the G League. 0 of 6? That's obviously scary bad. So, meanwhile, first-round Lakers pick Dalton Knecht is rampaging from 3 for the varsity Lakers. He's shooting 40%. He's 23 of 57. Saved the game the other night in New Orleans with his salvo in the third quarter. And second-round pick Bronny hasn't made a 3 since Summer League. And I thought J.J. Redick would be giving Bronny some of Austin Reeves or Dalton Knecht's minutes. No. In fact, Knecht has already been such a difference maker for the Lakers as a rookie, such a pleasant surprise, a shocking surprise, although I did see it coming in preseason. But he's had such an explosion that it weirdly has taken all the pressure off Bronny, because now nobody expects or needs him to contribute whatsoever. Nobody complains about Bronny James taking up a seat at the end of the bench for the Lakers for so many Laker games, home and road, because he's so wildly nationally popular, so lovable. And if he does get in for, 4 or 5 minutes at the end of a game, it usually means the Lakers are winning big. So you chant for Bronny to come in because you chant for the Lakers to blow out the opponent. But this is not going to last. At some point, even LeBron is going to have to come to grips with exactly what his son's basketball ceiling is. What's his ceiling? What's the end game here? I did keep an eye on Bronny's game last night on my old network, ESPN2, and I had to look harder and harder for hope. Okay, in the last 2 minutes, as the game did get weirdly close, looked like it was going to be a blowout, Bronny did block a left-handed layup that was ill-advised, but he blocked it, and he did make one nice bounce pass feed for a layup when the game got late and close. But 2 for 10 just won't work. Another 0 of 2 from 3 just won't hack it. So I keep seeing on social media that Caleb Williams is a bust. And I keep laughing my you-know-what off. I don't know. I guess people don't like him because they don't think he's made of tough quarterback stuff, that he's too much of a soft diva. That's all I can figure out. I stand by what I said before the draft. Caleb Williams is a special playmaker, extremely athletic and gymnastic, with a powerful arm. I mean, a cannon. In college, at OU, at USC, he was often very late game clutch. But, as you know, as the first overall pick, he landed with a sad sack organization, the Chicago Bears, that has always eaten its young quarterbacks. I know because I covered the Bears for 3 years in Chicago, was a columnist for the Tribune. Caleb's Chicago Bears already have fired their offensive coordinator. That happened a week ago. And I'm pretty sure this organization will fire its head coach once the season ends. And Caleb will have to start completely over with the new staff and the same old sorry Chicago Bears. Jaden Daniels, now Bo Nix, they are surrounded by stability in their organizations. Caleb is surrounded by dysfunction and losing culture. Yet, despite that, Caleb did manage to win his first 4 home games. Was he a bust then? And yes, I've been the first to jump on him. He has often held the ball way too long. He's tried to run around and make a SportsCenter highlight like he did in college, which obviously will not consistently work in the National Football League. Too big, too strong, too fast. And it has concerned me that Caleb Williams will go through cold streaks of inaccuracy. If you can't throw the ball straight, you can't make it in this league. You will be a bust. But did you watch Caleb yesterday against the Bears' arch rival, the Packers? Obviously a better team than the Bears. Would you believe that Caleb Williams yesterday had a QBR of 83 to Jordan Love's 81? I love Jordan Love, but 83 for Caleb to 81 for Jordan. That's pretty good. Caleb went 23 of 31 for 231 yards. That's pretty accurate. And Caleb ran it 9 times for 70 yards. That's pretty good because he can. And in the end, Caleb Williams was pretty clutch. In fact, he was very clutch. On the final series, he did get sacked on first down and second down, but at least he did not fumble. He did not throw a desperate interception as he was going down. Then on 3rd and 19, he clutched up. He hit his fellow rookie, Rome Odunze, for 16 yards. It was a big-time throw. Then on 4th and 3 came an even better throw for 21 more yards to Odunze. Then Caleb really clutched up to Keenan Allen for 12 more yards, which set up a very makeable, 46-yard field goal for the walk-off win that got blocked. Carl Brooks of the Green Bay Packers said he got his left forefinger on the football, didn't think it would be enough to stop the football, but it was just enough to make it fall short. So, look, I'm not saying Caleb Williams will go from draft bust to bust in Canton. I just think he'll have pretty good moments as a raw rookie quarterback thrown into the Chicago Fire. Maybe he'll even flash some great at times, as he did yesterday, late. Then by, year 3, I believe Caleb Williams will grow into a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback. Will he be better than Jaden? So far, it does not look like it, obviously, but it's just so early. All I know for sure is that the Caleb Williams I watched yesterday very carefully is in no way, shape, or form anywhere near a bust? Seriously? A bust? Okay. Quick sip of the nectar of the gods. Diet Dew. I picked the Baltimore Ravens to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl as they should have last season. And I must admit, they constantly trouble me to the point I no longer trust my prediction. And if you know me, I rarely admit that publicly. The Ravens troubled me when they lost at home in week 2 to Gardner Minshew and the Raiders. That was 26-23. It was close, but they lost to the Raiders. They troubled me when Justin Tucker missed an easy 40-yard field goal that would have put them up 31-6 at Dallas, and then they barely held on to win 28-25. What? The Baltimore Ravens troubled me when they lost to Jameis Winston in Cleveland. It was 29-24. And they really troubled me yesterday when they found a way to lose. Heck, they actually found several ways to lose to an inferior Pittsburgh Steelers team in Pittsburgh. That was 18-16. So they opened by losing by 7 at Kansas City. No shame there. Almost pulled it out in the end. Came within a toenail of pulling it all out on the last-ditch touchdown pass that I thought Lamar had thrown to force overtime. So they've barely lost 4 games. But I have no choice but to keep saying to you here, something is missing. And I keep reading social media posts from Ravens fans saying, John Harbaugh must go. So mostly I dismiss these fans as big Lamar fans looking for the quickest, easiest excuse for why Lamar has stunk in the last 3 losses that should not have happened. I mean, yesterday, to me, Lamar was shockingly bad. He came into this game with a career-high completion percentage. And at Pittsburgh, he goes 16 of 33. That's not even 50% for a grand total of 207 yards. Most of them late, a big chunk of them late. He did run 4 times for 46 yards, and I kept saying, why not run him more? I know they're trying to save him, play the long game with him, but Steelers couldn't stop that. Well, why not more of that, Todd Monken? Are you the issue here? Why wasn't he able to complete balls to wide receivers? I mean, 2 went to Flowers and 2 went to Bateman. Got my list here. Deontay Johnson was a sweet pickup, the ex-Steeler. He had 2 targets and no catches yesterday. Tylan Wallace, who always rises and shines late for them, caught 1 ball for 8 yards. Mark Andrews, security blanket for Lamar, caught 2 for 22. Likely had the most targets, 5. He caught 4 for 75, so that worked. But you got all that wideout talent, and you can't connect with it. I don't get it. So I'm going to give you this. It's possible that a 2-time MVP that I've had in stretches this year, winning a second straight to go to 3 MVPs, maybe Lamar Jackson just needs a change of coaching scenery at some point pretty soon. Maybe he needs a new voice in his ear and in the locker room. Maybe the Harbaugh-Lamar partnership just hasn't been wildly productive or successful enough. So I look at firing Jim Harbaugh, 17 seasons. He's 167 and 103 in the regular season. That's pretty great. He's 12-10 as John Harbaugh in the postseason. Not bad. But that one Super Bowl he won was off the 2012 season. It was a long time ago. It's Aaron Rodgers, Mike McCarthy-esque. Since that Super Bowl, John Harbaugh has coached the Ravens to only 1 AFC championship game, which was last year's, which they blew at home to Mahomes. So since the Super Bowl, John Harbaugh is 3-6 in the postseason, and that's in large part because Lamar, they go hand in hand, is 2-4 in the postseason, which just won't get it done. So maybe at some point it's going to be time to move on from John Harbaugh. I don't know. It astounded me that yesterday against your arch division rival that the Ravens just weren't ready to play. Justin Tucker is losing it. He's starting to go south. He is no longer the GOAT kicker. He missed 2 more field goals yesterday before he did hit the one from, 52 in the second half. Not bad. But 3 Ravens turnovers to just 1 for Russ and company. It just won't hack it, won't get it done. 12 penalties for John Harbaugh's team for 80 yards just won't get it done. 4 of 16 on third down won't work. The Baltimore Ravens, the best offense in the National Football League, lost the time of possession 36-24 to a Russell Wilson who really can't move the way he used to and gets away with throwing a lot of what I call moon balls. He knows how to throw them, when to throw them, where to throw them, but he gets away with them until he tried one into the back of the end zone yesterday that got intercepted and kept Lamar and company in the game. But Lamar and company got beaten by Chris Boswell making all 6 of his field goals. No touchdowns, just 6 field goals. Beat the Ravens at Pittsburgh. So I have to ask, should I frame this with Mike Tomlin just having Lamar's number? I mean, Lamar is now 1-4 against Pittsburgh. He's lost 4 straight to Pittsburgh. He's lost 3 in a row at Pittsburgh. I don't get it. Lamar had no answer for it after the game because this is the guy I had for stretches as this year's MVP who looked so lost yesterday, so discombobulated, so desperate, so out of sync, so unpoised. It just hurt my eyes to try to watch him because usually, as I always say about Lamar, he is the ultimate warrior. the ultimate gamer, the ultimate baller. No one can just flat out take over a football game with his arm and his legs and his will, with his physicality. No one can do it more sensationally than a Lamar Jackson. There's just something missing here. Inexplicably missing here, but I'm going to hang in. I have no choice. I'm going to see if Lamar and John Harbaugh can figure it out. Ravens are 7-4. It's not awful. It's not end of the world. Next up, a week from tonight, we've got John Harbaugh at Jim Harbaugh. That will not be easy. Then it's Eagles at Baltimore. I was thinking when the season started, this would be my Super Bowl preview because I picked Eagles over Ravens. Won't be easy. Then it's at New York Giants. Should be easy. Then it's Steelers at home. You got to get revenge there. Then it's at Houston. Then it's Browns. But I will say this. If the Ravens that I picked don't take off, they could, they should, but if they don't, if they do fall apart, if all these bad signs suddenly come together to equal disaster, which often happens in this league, you can see the signs, see it coming. If they do somehow fall apart, and let's say they miss the playoffs, then yes, Ravens fans, I'd be with you. Then John Harbaugh should not see an 18th season in Baltimore, Maryland. That's it for this episode. Thanks to Tyler Korn for producing. Thanks to Ernestine for overseeing as always. And to Hazel for approving.